I want to get like a bunch of tattoos, and if I ever get like a Disney one, there aren't many I would want, or probably any. I would want one of Wally though, like, and I would probably want that scene of like him and Eve holding hands, but like that specific part where like he's trying to get his arm out, his hand out, because that's a cute one, man. Hey everyone, this is Joseph. Welcome to the Video Time Podcast. I've been promoted from a guest to host now. I'm told it doesn't pay though, so that sucks. So today though, I have another guest. For me, it's going to be my friend Vong.
Hello, I'm Vong. Nice to meet you all.
And today we're going to be talking about Vong's favorite movie. And Vong, introduce your favorite movie, please.
So there's a lot of movies that I kind of like, a lot of them that I watch for fun. But the one that I most enjoy is the movie WALL-E.
It's a great movie. Great. Of all the Disney movies, that's probably one of the best. Like, the one I would go back to the most is WALL-E.
I'd say so as well. I remember, I think the movie was made in 2008, and that was around 4th, 5th grade for me. So I remember going to the theaters and watching it with my classmates and all of us there. And when the intro first came, it was like very cheerful, things like that. And so I was like super excited. And then once it showed like the present situation, where it was like a deserted wasteland, just like junk, all that, I was like, oh my gosh.
That's heavy for a 5th grader. That the world is gonna die.
Yeah.
The world is dying.
PG-13.
It's PG-13?
Either PG-13 or PG.
There's no way. It's a Pixar movie, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Pixar movies are PG-13.
Maybe PG, but then like just that, like,
No, I'm remembering now. It's PG because I was watching it on Disney Plus earlier today at work.
But yeah, like just seeing that, and then like later on when they show like a lot of more, not gruesome, but then like more serious scenes, I was like, it was a lot for a kid back then, but then like we were able to learn a lot as well because there was a lot of emotions evoked from the characters. And
damn,
so
you were doing that, like thinking of all that as a
lot
kid?
with me, yeah.
I didn't think about that as a kid. I was like, funny robot, man. He makes funny noises. Can I have mac and cheese now?
There's I think in the beginning when we first see WALL-E meeting Eve, and then he was going through that kind of like love at first sight kind of thing. Yeah. And so I think that's what stuck with me as well, because like when you're a kid from like 4th to 6th grade, and like you're barely learning how to like kind of like present yourself better to girls, like, you know how guys would always hit girls because they like them or things like that. And so it stuck a lot with me, because just seeing how WALL-E kind of pushed himself towards to like gain Eve's love was kind of like what we would do as kids.
Yeah.
Or when we were younger.
WALL-E's the man. He's bad.
He is. And he's awesome.
He's the best. I would kind of say the movie split up into two halves. Like, you get the first part where it's Wally's world. It's all about him on Earth and like meeting Eve and that. Let's talk about that part first. Like, what do you like most about that? You were talking about like the relationship aspects of WALL-E and Eve.
I think personally for me, I felt like there was a lot of central themes to it, but one that struck out a lot was like I mentioned before, like WALL-E's love for Eve and him like getting his first love at first sight for her. And along with that, it was also like just another companion for WALL-E to have, right? Like, there was a cockroach, but other than the cockroach, who he also met shortly before meeting Eve, like I don't recall like if they explained like if there were other machines with WALL-E. But then
we do see a pile of dead WALL-Es. Like,
you see
he's doing the thing where like you get a dead person. She was like, yeah, that's the same size.
Yeah. Just that, right? Like you can kind of see like he's kind of like the last remaining working machine there. And I don't remember how long it's been since he's been there by himself, right? So I think later on in the story though, it said there
So
was
it's
at
roughly
least like
like 700
700. Yeah.
years.
So if Wally was there at the beginning of the 700 years, since everyone had left into space, and then it was still just him for those 700 years.
Well, probably not, because there would have been other robots.
Oh,
They just slowly
yeah.
broke down. Like Wally's the man. Like he persevered. He's literally built different.
He is.
Wally's built different. He's got that dog in him.
He kind of like learned. I would say he learned to have like I mentioned earlier, like human emotions and human like emotions and human like feelings, right? Like where later on when we go further into the movie, like we'll see the other robots in space where like they just perform their duties.
Yeah.
And in comparison to that, like Wally kind of learned how to feel, right? Like when he ran over the cockroach, he felt sorry for doing that.
Yeah.
Cockroach came back fine. Like, all right, we have 2 nuclear survivors here.
I like that. Like when Wally goes home with the cockroach, the first thing it does is dive into a Twinkie. Like the 2 things that can survive an apocalypse is the cockroaches, a Twinkie, and now Wally.
Yeah. So just going back to the main point, I think just Wally having another companion with him, even though he was blindsided by love, like just him having someone else there with him kind of made him enjoy that short moment of life a lot. Because when we see him take Eve into his little home, like he played the videos for her with like the dancing, singing, things like that. That showed like a lot of companionship.
That reminds me of something like that that we hear on later in the movie. It's from the captain. He says like the robot that's keeping them in. Spoilers for a movie from like 2008.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, that's your fault. But the captain is like talking to the autopilot, and the autopilot is like, "Oh, our duty is to make you survive." And he's like, "I don't want to survive. I want to live." I feel like that's Wally. Wally, in the beginning, is just surviving, because he's just he's collecting all these things, but he's not really doing anything with them. He wants that companionship, and then he finally finds that in Eve. Like he wants to experience things with her, like the things he kind of enjoys.
Yeah.
Like he wants to have someone else feel that joy that he's been feeling with those little trinkets.
And then I think adding on to your point, like something it is kind of like semi-obvious, semi-subtle was when he first handed her like the light bulb. Like it didn't shine with him, right? But when he passed it to her, it shined, and it kind of surprised him and made him a little happy. And then he gave her the lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then well, he let Eve turn it on, but then she turned it on, flipped the switch, and then the fire came in, and he kind of had a moment with like kind of like there was life in someone else that he could see and enjoy the little moments with.
Yeah. Damn, Vong pulling out the good symbolism. Yeah, I actually prefer the first part of the movie to the second half, just because I like that whole isolation thing. Like I think it's just because I think the first half of the movie, because even when Eve comes, it's very silent. They kind of talk, but I feel like it's a very universal story. Like you can put this in front of a kid in like that doesn't know English, and they'll get what it's going on about.
Right.
Like I like that idea. Like it's just fun little adventures of like a robot just learning how to do little different things, and then he has his day job like we all do, and life is hell.
I think another part to that, like you were saying, like just going through like the day job kind of stuff. I remember, I don't know if it was the same day that he met Eve, but then earlier, where he woke up and he was like trying to put on his
treads.
Yeah. Like he was fumbling around like his place to look like where he was going, kind of like how I guess people nowadays do, where you wake up and you're kind of late for work, but you're still trying to get through the day, so you fumble through like your house just to put on your shoes and get out as soon as you can.
Man, Wally's just all of us. Okay, well, now let's kind of talk about the parts on the ship. Like, what kind of like symbolism did you see in that? Like anything that's kind of stuck out for you, like as significant in those ship scenes?
So I can't clearly answer that. But I do, watching it yesterday, I didn't notice how when he bumped into the lady while he was trying to cross her to get to Eve, when he bumped into her and she kind of lost, the lady lost her screen, right?
Like her visuals.
Yeah, and then she said, "Oh wow, I didn't know there was a pool here." And as a kid, I just thought that was a funny scene, right? But rewatching it last night, it kind of spoke up to me like, if that's how their lives on the ship has always been, right? Like looking at the screen and not seeing anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's something that even we kind of do nowadays, like where
It reminds me of that story. Did you ever read it in school? It was like something of the maladies or the teller of the maladies. Like the whole thing is like a guy thinks he's in love with a girl and he's like imagining their whole life together, like over like one text or one phone call or something. And then it's like, oh, in the end she has a boyfriend. It's like imagining like your whole life, like through
sounds
the
familiar. I don't think I
through a
have read
screen.
it though. But yeah. Which is, to me, I think is kind of amazing and a little scary, where you kind of do have a perfect life on the ship, but then you have a even more perfect life with something just in front of your screen where you never notice anything
being
else.
spoon fed like the good stuff.
Yeah. Something that I didn't understand or didn't pay attention to that I missed was how they did reproduce all the food for them.
Yeah, it's like how do you? But my thought process was because I was thinking about that too. Like, how does the ship sustain itself for 700 years?
At least.
Like I've heard other theories of stuff like I think, have you heard the theories? Like I think there's something called like a Pixar theory or something where like the movies are all connected. But then I think I remember something from that, like, oh, maybe they were like doing like a Soylent Green situation where they're like just eating dead passengers. But I feel like if they're eating that much every day, you need more dead people than that. And they're probably living longer too, because if they're in space for 700 years, we see a wall of captains.
Yeah.
It's like only like 6 or 7 generations of dudes. So they're probably living longer too. Like they're not eating humans. I don't think they thought that far ahead of it.
They're probably not humans.
Well, they're not anymore. They've evolved.
There was I thought of that when there was that little scene where the captain was talking, and he explicitly said like that's what humans used to do on Earth or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you saying that as in like you guys aren't humans? You know?
They're so isolated.
Yeah.
Because they only know their life on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But like one thing I was thinking of, like, because there's a garbage section of the ship where like there's big wallies throwing trash into space. I'm like, why are you throwing the trash into space? That's good material. Use that, recycle that. But my guess is like they harvest comets or something for like water and like metals and maybe like other types of food. I don't know, like space algae. I don't know if that exists.
Kind of like what you mentioned earlier too, like where if the people there do that, like where do they go?
That's a good part of the movie though. Like we're thinking of like the world building.
One thing I was thinking was kind of like how they had the pods to escape. Like maybe they just put them all in there and just shoot them out, and then do the self-destruct button like what Wally did accidentally. A little dark, but a lot dark. But yeah, just kind of like thinking where the rest of them, the ones that are like gone now, like where they actually go, you know?
Yeah, 700 years. Where do the dead go?
And then, yeah, just even being 700 years, like I was wondering why they were so far away from Earth. Like, if they haven't found like another livable planet, like why not just return like every 100 years? But I guess that's why they send out Eve. But I felt like their travel was quite long too. Like when
well, I think that part has to do like why they didn't return to Earth at all was because of the autopilot. And like I guess the theme of the movie is automation. Like don't become too automated, because the ship, the autopilot was too automated. It didn't learn to like be a little bit more human, like Wally or Eve, because it got its directives from the president, and the president was like, don't return to Earth. And so the autopilot was like, okay, not
Yeah.
joining the Earth. No way, no
The
how. But then when we see Eve later talking about directives, like she's like, Wally's like holding up the plant to her,
yeah.
and he's like, directive, and she's like, directive. It's like, no, you're my directive.
I think now that you mention that, it does make sense. Because if that was like, that might have also been like the last message Autopilot saw as well. Since when the captain brought it up, like when that message was sent, he said it was that's 700 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Autopilot, that might very well have been like the last message Autopilot got, and then he probably thought that was the last message for him as well.
Or he's waiting for new orders.
Yeah.
But they ain't coming.
Or they came and they left. Never talked to him.
One thing I'm thinking about too is in the beginning we saw multiple ships taking off. Only Wally's ship returned.
Did
we see other ships return?
No, I don't think so.
Because in the end credit scene we go through like a whole.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing in the end credit scene that I love is they go through different art styles. Like first you get the caveman painting style.
Yeah.
And then we get the I think it's ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, and then we have like I think Greek like vase painting type stuff,
yeah.
and then we have like Roman mosaics. Like
kind of
that
like
was cool.
Going through ancient history again.
Yeah, but it's like I think like the evolution of humans.
Yeah.
Like how far they've evolved.
You mentioning this shift, I don't think it's like so important. But I just thought it was kind of funny how the ship was able to return to its like original dock, I guess. Because like when the ship came back to Earth, like there was a place that was like there
Like
was
a launch
something to accept the ship. You know, like you saw it landed.
The plan was to return, right?
Yeah.
Then I think the plan was to return after 5 years. But then 5 years came and went, and then the president was like, "Nah, stay out there."
I'm just surprised that docking area was still there.
Yeah, well, it was automated. Like everything else on Earth, it was automated.
Speaking of that, going back to the first part, just something I kind of thought was really funny was Eve, when she got stuck to the magnet, and so she got frustrated and she shot the magnet and she shot the ships, and it just kind of like dominoed effect to the end.
And then Wally's just looking like, yeah, that's who I want.
That's my girl.
That's my girl.
She was close to shooting him too. Oh yeah, she shot the rock that he was hiding behind.
Yeah. Wally almost died a couple times. He doesn't care. Man wants it. One of the best scenes, I guess, that I liked in terms of the ship was the whole robot revolution. That's cool. Just robots rebelling, especially against other robots. That's like Terminator, but like that's what I want. I want to see a Terminator movie where it's just one big bad against another big bad, like kaiju movies. Like you just want to see big bads versus big bads. If humans get stuck in the middle, who cares?
I read an article, something like that, like a couple months or years ago, where they were talking about how like all the defect robots were like the ones that were kind of capable, like even Wally, to think or to have like human like emotions as well. Like you can kind of see that in Mo, right? Like where he was first cleaning up Wally's tracks and trying to clean Wally.
Oh yeah, and then he goes off.
He jumped off the
and he's like, oh god, this is new. And then he tries it and he's like, oh, new isn't bad.
Yeah. And then all the robots that were kept in, not captivity, they were getting
like reprogrammed, like fixed.
Yeah, like all of those who were defect or something, trying to get normalized again. When Wally shot through the glass door to go get Eve, and then he used Eve's arm to shoot the machine that released all the defect robots. And then they all came running to him, and I thought they were congratulating him at first, right? Like they were raising him, pushing him up and down, and then they brought him to the steward bots, and I was like, wait, that wasn't what I imagined.
Like, what do you mean?
Like they were congratulating him for like releasing them, because they were trapped. But then they brought them back to the stewards to, I think, like because they were the ones who messed up the ship, so they were bringing them to get captured and whatnot. But that was kind of like a it's kind of like a subverted expectation for me.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Oh
Like they brought them back. No, they were trying to run from the steward bots.
no, were they?
Yeah. And then like as soon as like there's a wall of them, the way I guess we're interpreting
yeah,
it differently.
yeah.
The way I saw it was like, oh, he freed us. He's our leader, so let's push him to the front. He knows what to do. That's how I saw it as like, oh, he speaks for us.
Okay. Because when I was watching that part, like I did think that too. And then well, okay, fine. They met the steward bots, and then they were all just kind of like staying there for a bit. And then one of the smaller robots came and pushed Wally out to the front,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I thought they were turning him in instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We
Yeah,
just
there you go.
interpreted it
Yeah.
differently.
Or I was halfway there with you, and then like, oh my gosh, I thought you guys were like worshiping him, like he's a hero, and then all of a sudden you guys are turning him in. Jerks.
I see it as like they still don't know, like they've got freedom, but
Yeah.
they don't know what to do with their autonomy.
Uh-huh.
So they're like, this guy knows. This guy knows what's up. He's got our backs.
That makes sense. I think they were one of the kind of like better parts. Just like the little moments with them.
Mhm.
Um,
You like the parts with the robots, which I usually like the robots. Like I love the Wally parts back on Earth. But my favorite parts of like at least on the ship were the human parts.
Oh,
like
okay.
seeing them like discover like
Yeah.
that woman discovering there's a pool here.
Yeah.
Seeing that guy like, oh, hey Wally, like, and he's like just looking around. Like I thought that stuff's awesome. Like I don't know why. Like I like seeing like humans learning, I guess. Even
Yeah.
if it's stupid little things, like it's good to learn stuff like that you didn't know before. Like it's good to like see the world around you.
Uh-huh.
Like the stupid memes where it's all like what's the meme? It's like it's just like some idiot looking at the world, but he's like marveled by everything. I was like that's a good thing. That's a good thing to be marveled at to marvel the world. Like it makes life like happier
Yeah.
than being like cynical and like depressed. Or I guess it's like those memes where it's like the guy is like, oh, this guy, and it's like the Joker or like Patrick Bateman from like American Psycho, like edgy guys or
Yeah.
something. But then it's like there's like the other guy is like, nah, that's not me. I want to be like Superman.
Yeah.
I want to be like Spider-Man. Like, yeah, you want to be those people. Yeah, you want to see the good things in humans
And
or the world.
kind of adding to what you said, yeah. I think for me, the humans did become like pivotal towards the success of having the ship return to Earth. But because I was just entranced by the robots originally with Wally, right? So I was falling through Wally's journey, and so you kind of like kind of have a more impactful, I guess, relationship with Wally because you're going through his journey, and the things that he does. So when he kind of like meets and befriends the robots, it's like what I said at the beginning, where he adds more companionship to his life, and so that kind of helps him persevere to getting the plan and like returning it back to the ship.
Yeah, I like what you said about that. Like it takes the humans and the robots, because again, that's how the movie starts. Like in the beginning, we saw what happened when humans do nothing. We saw what happens when they just let robots do everything. Then over the course of the movie, we see like one dude stood up. The captain stood up,
Yeah.
literally, and he got humans back on track. Like that's all it takes. One person to stand up. That's some good shit right there.
I think one thing that also kind of subverted my expectations, for lack of better words, was also
Oh,
just
the
like
prim and proper man.
was also just the knowledge of what they had at in that point in time of the situations. Like the captain was asking the not Otto, but then the girl voice that she speaks to, that like he would ask her questions like define dancing, define things like that.
The Wikipedia thing.
Yeah.
Dude, that's one. Oh, we'll talk about that a bit later.
But yeah, so like he would ask her things like that, but you know, like those are all like, I guess, like things that we would know normally. And something that kind of shocked me at him, his intelligence, was when he told Otto, he told Otto something, and he used a vocabulary that I thought wasn't something that was capable within his knowledge, because he had to ask to define like basic words and terms. So just that like kind of made me think like, wow, you guys are a lot smarter in your kind of situations than what I think you are. Like, I didn't think the captain was capable of trying to take over Otto until he did meet Wally and saw the potential that Wally had.
Another good meme. The indomitable will of the human spirit. I don't care how many times I see it. Humans coming out on top just because they have that dog in them is always the best thing. Because it makes you feel good. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, that guy did it. I can do that too. Makes you feel good.
Yeah, I can't think of the word right now, but I think it was a vocabulary that was outside of his knowledge, and I just thought that was something that really stuck with me.
Okay, I think we talked a bit about the beginning, like the first half and the second half. What kind of scenes did you that maybe we haven't brought up yet that like were some of your favorites?
I think outside of that, it's just like the more like pertaining to Wally and Eve's journey,
Okay.
kind of like growing as lovers. Something you already mentioned it when Wally had brought the plant to when they were in the garbage area, and Wally found the plant and tried to give that to Eve, and then Eve do that away to try to hold Wally's hand. Like, I felt like from the first moment Wally met Eve, like he's always wanted to do right. Like in the ship or in his home, he was trying to hold Eve's hand, and then she was gonna shoot him, and then when she took in the plant and she was disabled, and then Wally tried holding her hand again, and then
she clams shut.
Yeah,
that's cute, man.
And then
if I ever get like, I want to get like a bunch of tattoos, and if I ever get like a Disney one, there aren't many I would want, or probably any. I would want one of Wally though, like, and I would probably want that scene of like him and Eve holding hands, but like that specific part where like he's trying to get his arm out, his hand out, because that's a cute one, man.
That, and then I think the only other time where he tried to reach for her hand or wanted to hold her hand was when she had left him to go return the plant, where he was kind of on like one of the floors and she had to put the bath towels on top of his head. And then it was the scene where Eve had given the plant to the captain, and he had asked her like to show the memories of Earth, and her memories popped up. And then there, when it was showing Eve's memories, it switched back to Wally as well, trying to imagine how to like hold her or ask her to hold hands, right? And that was going on, and then after like the multiple attempts, he just called himself pathetic.
Yeah.
That, and then it switched back to Eve, I think, where it played the memories of Wally kind of like protecting her from
the elements.
From the conditions outside, which I don't know why he took her out, but I think it was just to let her enjoy life, I guess. Yeah, and then that kind of brought Eve to kind of like show see a different side of Wally as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he might be like totally into you, but that's not all there is to it.
Yeah, nice guys do win.
And so now going back to that garbage area where she kind of fully realizes what Wally also means to her, and where she tried to reach out her hands to him this time, like he was still like into her, but now like he had a different objective too, right? Where he's also able to repair his parts by going to home, which is why he took the plant back to her, and in that little moment where he was trying to explain to her, but also that other than just trying to get the girl, now he's also trying to save the world too, right? Where if you do return the plant, you do get to go home, and you also get to have everyone else enjoy a different kind of happiness that they didn't have.
That's interesting. That's another part where we kind of see it differently. We're like, you're building up Wally to be this like hero, like that's his intentions. Like I see like those weren't his intentions. I imagine him as Mr. Magoo.
Mhm.
Like I don't know if you know that character. It's like the blind. It's like an old man, and he's like blind or whatever,
Mhm.
or he can't see very well. And he's like the guy that's walking through construction sites, and like he falls, and then like a
Oh,
girder rises, and he's still walking on it,
yeah,
and he's completely fine. That's who I see Wally as. Like he's just Mr. Magooing his way through
kind of,
life, and like good things happen though.
yeah.
And like I feel like
Okay,
that's
okay.
Wally. Like he's that he doesn't have ulterior
Yeah,
motives.
yeah, yeah.
He's just a good person, and so good things happen as a result of what he wants.
Mhm. Okay, okay, yeah.
Like
I can see
like
that.
in that, like him wanting to return to Earth was like my intention. The way I interpreted it, that was
Mhm.
like he just wants to go home so he can get a new eye, so he can
Mhm.
get a new board.
Okay.
Like, but in the end, what he wants helps like everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
One of my favorite scenes is the one you brought up, like the guy, the captain,
Mhm.
Wikipedia,
Yeah.
Wikipedia, everything. Like
Uh-huh.
he's like, what's this? What's this? What's this? Again, um, I like seeing people learn. That's some cool stuff. Like it's like you take for granted what you know or like how much like access to information you have. Like
Mhm.
you can learn some cool stuff. Like he didn't know that, but like here he is learning about all this interesting stuff that
Yeah.
he's never heard of before. He's like into it. That's awesome. But like one of my favorite things that starts that discussion of like him learning is like Wally shakes his hand, right? And there's dirt left on him.
Yeah.
And then like I think it's just funny how like he goes to analyze it and like the computer says, "Oh, it's dirt, it's earth," and he's like, "Oh, that's what sparks this mind, earth." And then it's like I always think that's funny how like at least in the English language we've named our planet dirt.
Soil.
It's just it's funny. I think that's just a funny thing. This big old hunk of rock, we could have named it anything. We could have named it some cool stuff like Megatron 3000. No, we chose dirt. But yeah, then it progresses into that like that thing where you do late at night on Wikipedia where you don't want to like go to sleep
Mhm.
because you have like some big event the next day, so you're just learning
Yeah.
all night, and it's awesome.
Something else I remembered on that, which again isn't so important, but just something that stuck to me was when Wally did shake his hand and the Axiom was there too, but he kind of like didn't do anything. Like I would have thought he would have known like what robots are in his ships, right? Like because I don't know if he does have control of all the robots, but he does have some kind of
Authority.
over them. And like he acknowledged Wally, I think, or like he noticed that there was a different robot on his ship, but that didn't struck him. I guess to like be alert or anything until Wally starts doing Wally stuff.
Wally starts being Wally.
Yeah, yeah, just that. Like it's kind of intriguing, surprising. Where like if there's like someone new on your ship and you're just gonna like let them go because they seem to be not so important.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like if you were like the captain of a ship or even like what's the term, first mate,
Mhm.
which I guess is what the autopilot would be.
Yeah.
Like if some scraggly man came up with like dirt
Dirt.
on his hands and he's got like broken pieces everywhere and he's probably all cut up, I'd be like, who is this guy?
Toss him out again.
What department are you from?
Toss him out again.
Are you a stowaway?
Yeah, that's just amazing.
Suspension of belief. You gotta
yeah.
have it for some movies.
Now that we're talking more about the robot skin, I just now kind of like realized too how most of the robots on the ships are like lighter, brighter colors, like mostly white. And then we turn to Wally, who is like brown, kind of rusty, things like that, you know. Brings back to like the whole Earth is dying, where it's like when they first leave the ship and Wally looks down to Earth and it's like just dirt, brown. And then you see, I don't recall the color of the ship on the outside, but yeah, the other
It's
robots, they're white. They're all new, things like that. They do get cleaned. And then when we reach the garbage area, like we also see the space
This is
Wallies.
the one time we have a movie without a white savior. It's the brown savior.
we see the brown. We see the big Wally's also brown.
Yeah. Oh man, they got the Mexicans working in the trash heap. They got the Mexicans like for just the brown people, like they got the people shoveling the coal into the furnace. That's where we are, man.
Oh god. Yeah. Just that, like, I never noticed until now, but that does like add a lot onto like the old and new, or like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, colors.
yeah.
I always forget about that.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, no. One color thing that I kind of thought of was from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Obviously the autopilot's like a stand-in for HAL. Like that's just good. Oh, what is it called? Illusions.
Yeah.
Illusions.
Uh-huh.
So like to clue you in. Clue you in early. Like this is the bad guy.
And I was thinking, kind of like closer to the humans part where the announcer said that blue is the new red, and it just made me think, like, I guess kind of like, again, like what else has happened on that ship that just a change in the color was new to them.
I think that's more of like the ship was like I think made by like not the consumers, the people that make consumer stuff. Well, why am I blanking? What are they called? The business, I guess.
Okay.
The business that's pretty much, yeah, the business that destroyed Earth. Pretty much like that ran it into the ground because of all their industrialization and crap. And what was I talking about?
Well, I was just mentioning like about a change in color was like new to them because
it's like artificial like hype of something. Like you want someone to buy something, right? So you're like you get an ad saying this is the new thing or whatever, which is exactly what they did. Try blue, it's the new red, and then everyone did it. And you see, they had the choice to.
Yeah, they did.
They physically had to press a button with their fat hand, their fat stubby hand. They had to press something. They had to do some effort in their life for once to change their color, but that's all they did. 100%, I would be one of those people.
Dude, I was thinking about that. Like,
100%.
If I'd
be the fattest guy there.
To be a character in that movie, I most likely be, and also want to be like one of the passengers on the ship. Like, that sounds really good. Like eating food out of like a shake.
Cupcake shake. I've had a cupcake shake, man. Cupcake shakes are pretty good. That's why I got this gut here. That's why I got this gut here.
Don't gotta move. Well, you know when they, when Wally was gonna turn the plant in, and they assembled all of the passengers together, they were still in their chairs, right?
I was thinking that too. Is like if they weren't fat and they were gonna come back, why would the chairs do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it was the chairs were eventually updated or automated to do that too, which is weird.
The chairs, their bed, I don't even think they move off of that pen.
You think some people died
on it?
Like not in that chair, in that scene where like they're all falling to the side. You think some people died? Like they
all got squished.
Some guys got smothered, right?
Couple 100 pounds.
Yeah, couple hundred.
Couple hundreds, and then there's like couple hundreds of them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the babies were fat.
They were. Those were some fat milk they're giving the babies.
Yeah.
I remember seeing in the backgrounds like they all had when they were showing like ads or whatever in the city with like the billboards, things like that.
Like in the beginning?
No, in the ship.
Oh, okay.
Where we were just like going through.
Seeing Wally look around. Okay.
Like we could see the people that they used were like slim, you know, and the people that we see now were thicker.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of just adds on to my previous point about how they just see the screen and so they don't see anything else around them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wonder if they ever thought of it and then like if being big was normal or if it was abnormal.
Oh yeah, that's right. How they've been there for 700 years. Their parents were probably fat, big too.
Yeah.
So like that's all they know. They're probably thinking, is this a different species? What is this hairless monkey?
So maybe like all of those could have like images ads could have been like reused from the original 5 years too, because people then were probably a lot fitter, you know. And then 700 years later, they're probably my cousins. Was there any scene upon rewatch that you liked more or didn't like more in comparison to your other watches?
In comparison, like
Or
I think the
just-
last time I watched actually a few months ago, and then I think the time before that I watched it like years ago.
Okay.
Like probably when I first watched it.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
A thing that I didn't think I'd like is, like I said, the human parts. Like what I remember most, obviously, from the kid was like, oh, funny robot man
Yeah.
does funny robot things. That's what I remember. But like going back, what I liked most were the human parts. Like I liked the guy Wikipediaing everything. Like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Or like the couple that meets because of Wally, and they're like splashing around in the pool. Like, I love that. I love seeing that. Indomitable human spirit. We persevere.
We do.
All of us. Some more than others.
As for me, I don't think like a lot changed in comparison to the previous times that I've watched, because well, now like whenever, like I said at the beginning, whenever I watch it's mostly out of like enjoyment, and like I already know everything's gonna happen, but like I'm still giddy about the parts that I like most, you know, like Wally seeing Eve for the first time, him
oh man,
holding
that
hands with
scene
Eve.
where like Eve says his name for the first time and he like
Oh,
melts,
yeah,
that's the cutest thing ever, man. Like he's like oh, I don't speak angel.
And then there was a comment I read on that scene on YouTube where Wally he genuinely messed up on Eve's name the first time, but she had laughed, so I think he continues to mispronounce it just so that he can continue hearing her laugh.
Okay. I thought, again, we interpreted that differently. But the way I thought it was like that was just the limits of his vocabulary. Like there were limits to Wally.
Yeah.
And, like that's just what he does. But like she found it charming.
Yeah.
It's like an accent. Like in an accent, sometimes you just can't say certain things because you don't know how to. Like that's what I saw this.
Okay.
Again, making Wally the brown person.
Yeah. Would you say the scenes where they bump heads together where it shows that little shock, like them kissing? That's what I interpreted them as.
Yeah, I interpreted it as kissing. Like, I mean, that's what robots without lips would, I guess, simulate
Bender.
touch in some way.
Bender.
Oh, Bender. Speaking of that, I was going to ask you, you say you watch this. Do you watch this like you watch Futurama? Because I know you watch that nonstop. Like, I watch Futurama nonstop. Like, that's just something we have on in the background 24/7. Is like Wall-E like your movie for that?
I would say if we're choosing from like movies, then yeah. But if it's like just something for background noise, then it's usually like episode TV shows or things that have episodes. So I can always get like something new.
But Futurama's like up there, huh? Because I know we keep sending memes to each other back and forth about just Futurama, or like someone just mentioning a Futurama like thing, like good news everybody in like Reddit.
Yeah.
And we send it to each other like, oh dude, look at this funny clip, and then it's just that one thing.
Fries eating cereal off his head. Dude, tangent, but I've always wanted to try that.
Cereal off your head?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Like,
our parents, I
cereal
don't know
and-
about your parents. My parents told me shows like Futurama and Family Guy would ruin our lives or something, and like, I guess you're the example of that. What the hell do you mean you want to eat cereal off your head?
Like, it's just something to try, you know?
The funniest thing from Futurama, I think I just sent you the clip too, where it's like Bender going to college. He's like $10,000. What?
Where do I
then-
sign up?
I know, only 10,000. Like, Bender, what the hell are you on about? But then the Dawn bot goes like, "Hey, over there, It's like Bender's like, over where? Sorry, I forgot where I was. I meant over here. Oh man, Futurama probably grew our love for like the robots, man. Like robots doing funny things.
And in what 1,000 years from Fry's time, and robots are just like normal people for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder
that'd be amazing.
I wonder if they do that with Wally too. Like if they get citizenship status eventually, because like we see the people grow in like through the process of the credits, like of the evolution of time with the art styles. Like people eventually get skinny, so that probably took maybe like a generation at least. If that's even them.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know how. I don't know how long a tree takes to grow. But and they're still around.
And the pizza plants.
The pizza plant. Oh yeah, pizza plants, man. They probably figured out how to do that. Wally can do anything, man. I wonder if they have a citizenship status. Like, what's the world like after? Do robots have rights?
Dude.
Because yeah, like I think we were saying this in the beginning. We were saying this in the beginning, like the world building. Like a movie's good when you can when you think of the world outside of the characters.
I'd say they'd kind of had to, right? Like maybe not citizenship or membership, but like they'd probably have to see them more as just automations helping make human lives easier.
Yeah, they helped them survive, huh? Like either robots were making fire for them, digging wells. Because those guys would not have survived on their own.
I don't know how they, even if it took like them a couple of generations, like how even the new babies were able to, lose some of those extensive baby fat.
That's easier for a baby. All right, I think we're finishing up talking about Wall-E.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vong, for joining me.
Of course.
On Video Time Podcast. Next time, I think we took a little bit of a tangent at the end there, talking about Futurama.
We did.
Maybe next time we can talk about. Maybe next time we can have like a Futurama episode. Have you guys done TV shows yet? No, the first TV show one. No, we lied. We talked about Mandalorian.
And Delver.
And
oh,
we don't remember our own content here. But yeah, maybe we can talk about Futurama in the future eventually. Well, thank you for joining me. And
of course.
thank you everyone for watching.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.